All right, it's summer at the Xfinity Center, so we're taking a little bit of time to get to know our Maryland women's basketball team, now joined by Breanna Williams, known to the team as Monty.
Yep.
Where did that nickname come from?
Yeah, so we went through a lot of nicknames, like a lot.
Yeah?
Like my first nickname was like Bree or, B-Dub. At one point in time when we were in Croatia, it was JoJo because of my middle name.
Okay.
Short for my middle name. Okay. And so Brenda, Coach B tried talking to me like that and calling me on the court. She was like, JoJo. And I did not respond. Yeah. So that was ditched. And then Coach Noelle, she was like, what about Monty? And so she was like, yeah, Monty. She was like, Montana, Monty. Yeah. And so, it stuck.
Because that was funny, because when I was looking at the schedule to do this, I was like, Monty, because I didn't know that. Yeah. And I was like, oh, I get it.
Yeah,
I get it. So I was pretty sure that's what it was. Let's talk about the Croatia trip, because that was probably pretty exciting. Had you ever been to Croatia before?
No, I've never been overseas. So
really?
That was
first
cool.
time?
Yeah.
What was that experience just like overall?
It was really cool. We got to develop a really good bond with that team last year, and I think that's kind of what made us go so far, was that just bonding right away and going overseas. But it was incredible to see the difference in culture and how their way of life was. I mean, the food was fresh and everything. They didn't have a lot of preservatives and fast food and stuff. It was more fresh and everything.
That's awesome. Nice. So yeah, you guys kind of took that bond and launched it into last season. I guess when you kind of look back on last year, both from your perspective and the team's, what were kind of your big takeaways?
Yeah, my big takeaway was just being a dog. This league is very competitive, and so you have to show up every single day and give your best. And I think just as a team, we never back down. We always rose to the occasion, and it got us where we wanted to be, and we could have gone further, but yeah.
So we'll carry that into this year. But I want to kind of go back a little bit, because you mentioned you're from Montana, and we were talking with Rose ahead of time. I was like, we don't know if we've ever had somebody from Montana before. So unofficially, our first player from Montana.
Yes.
So that is an accolade you have. What was kind of the path from Montana to College Park, Maryland?
Yeah, so it's a funny story, because Khloe Pavlich, she actually played here at Maryland and stuff, and so I was getting recruited by Baylor.
Oh.
And so she was watching my games and stuff like that, and so she kind of kept following me and watching my games during one of the weekends.
Yeah.
And she's like, sorry, I'm not trying to, but you remind me of someone. She ended up calling AT and was like, hey, this girl I'm watching reminds you of you. It's a mini you playing out there. And so ended up calling the coaches, and that's kind of how I got connected with Maryland. And I'm here now.
Amazing.
So
well, first of all, what a compliment to be compared to AT. And Khloe was actually my analyst, so we called a bunch of games together. She's amazing. So I guess, what was it kind of like when you talked to the coaches and you talked to Coach B? What was it about Maryland that really kind of stood out?
Yeah, so before this, I didn't know about Maryland. I mean, obviously being on the west coast and stuff like that, I really didn't know a lot about Maryland. So obviously after I was talking with the coaches during my recruitment and stuff, I did my research, and I was like, this is a really pristine school, and it has a lasting legacy. And so I just talked with the coaches, and it really felt like family. And so it was a no-brainer. I had that gut feeling. I didn't question anything about the coaches. I love all the coaches, and they're really good at developing players as well. And so I've seen that this last year, and then continuing on to this year. So.
Yeah. And you mentioned the coaches, and you even said yourself, kind of that family. And we've talked to some of the girls about how that word gets tossed around a lot, especially in recruiting and stuff like that. But Coach B and the whole staff, they mean it. How is that kind of manifested in your time at Maryland, kind of that family environment?
Yeah, no, like you said, in recruiting, you hear that word a lot, but sometimes it's once you commit, you don't feel that family aspect. Here, I definitely feel that family aspect. Being 2,000 plus miles away, that was a big decision, a big move for me. And I've never felt homesick. I want to go home sometimes, but I've never been I need to leave everything. It was just, they made you feel at home. They care about you. Some of the coaches, all the coaches are asking how's your siblings? How's your mom and dad? They really do care.
And what was it like to kind of make that decision to come 2,000 plus miles away? Because, I don't know how frequently parents get to games and stuff like that, but it's not an easy decision to make.
Yeah, no, I definitely, it took It didn't take very long, actually. But, you know, as I was narrowing down my list and stuff, I was like, you know, it's far away, but that was the only thing. It was just far away. And both of my parents were like, we support you in your decision. Like, don't limit yourself to the location. Like, don't limit yourself. You can go as far away as you want, but you know where home is. And so that's kind of what helped me, like, decide, like, I want to go to Maryland, is because, like, that's my other home away from home. And so being able to come to Maryland, like, that's my other home. Yeah,
we were talking about before we started how, you know, you're like, most people just know I'm like from Montana, and they ask like, what about the horses and stuff? I guess for you, how did kind of growing up there in that environment kind of shape who you are now?
Yeah, so growing up in Montana, I've had two perspectives. You know, obviously the horsing, the ranching, the
there is
wildlife.
Some of that.
Yeah, no, but it definitely has taught me. I'm very hardworking, and you know, it definitely teaches you how to be a hard worker. And I mean, I've learned a lot of life skills. Like teammates on my team, you know, they've called. They're like, Monty, hey, can you build this bookshelf? Like I built a vanity for Issy.
Yeah.
Like I mow lawns in the summer. Like, you know, it's just these little simple things. Yeah. But, you know, like growing up in Montana, it definitely taught me like a lot of life skills, and, you know, just how to be a hard worker and put your nose down and get stuff done.
That's awesome. So you have built furniture for your team.
Oh yeah.
That's a good teammate.
Yeah. Yeah. You know,
those directions can be difficult.
I'd rather have them do it than it break and them have to worry about it.
That's a good point. So, you're just looking out for them.
Yeah, I was like, you know, let me just do it. Like I built vanities, I think. What else? I built lamps.
Yeah.
A little desk.
Dang.
Coach Noelle, she's called me. She's like, yo, can you build some of these shelves? So I built shelves and some hangers.
Dang. Yeah. That's impressive.
Yep.
One of the things I kind of ask is like, what is something that people may not know about you? I mean, that's a pretty good answer.
I'm pretty handy.
That's awesome.
I'm, you know, a little Bob the Builder. I got a little toolkit in my apartment.
For kids, yeah. So I guess you talked about kind of that hard work and everything. It kind of the start of the summer workouts and everything. But what's kind of some parts of your game that you've been working on to go into the next season?
Yeah. I'm a 3-level scorer, so, you know, just being more consistent. Definitely getting a quicker release on it, and just like, I think just developing my mid-range game too. Yeah. Like I've definitely been working on it because I can shoot it well and, you know, finish well. So I think just bringing that consistency up.
Yeah.
And, you know, just having the confidence.
Yeah. So you haven't, like we said, this team hasn't been together in totality too much just yet, but what are your first impressions of, you know, the freshmen, the transfers coming in that are going to be part of the squad this year?
No, I really like these guys. They seem like a bunch of dogs. Like, that's what I want to say is they're hardworking, and I think like this team is going to mesh really well together. Like everybody's pretty calm and chill, but like once you get on the court, I think it's just going to be a bunch of crazy dogs like running around. You know,
Maryland women's basketball dog in them confirmed. Yes. So look out for that this year. So we talked to basketball. Let's talk some other stuff. When you're not playing basketball and not building furniture, what are you up to?
I mean, obviously I'm far ways from home, so, you know, I'm either on the phone with my friends or like back home with my family. You know, I've been watching some shows. I just finished The Rookie.
Oh, okay.
That was pretty good. Yeah, I finished that. Starting to watch some other movies and stuff. But
so I've asked this a couple times and it hasn't quite landed with everybody. Have you seen the like Letterboxd like 4 favorite movie interviews on like TikTok or social media or anything? Okay, so I'm gonna stop bringing that part up. But what would your top 4 favorite movies of all time be if you had to pick?
Ooh, a lot of them are sports movies, and I can't remember all of them. But, you know, I really like Remember the Titans. Like, that's like one of my favorite movies. Obviously Coach Carter. I just watched Sinners. That was pretty good.
I haven't seen it yet. But
it's
took the
pretty
internet
good.
by storm.
Yeah, it did. And I was watching all over TikTok, and I'm like, let me just watch it. And I was confused at first, but then I was like, I saw more TikToks about it, and I'm like, okay, like now I get it.
Yeah.
And then I want to go watch it again, actually, since it's so good. But and then the next one would probably just be, shoot, I don't even know.
We can end at 3.
Yeah,
we'll
just go 3. Top
Podium.
3.
Yeah.
Top 3.
So I guess like shifting over to kind of like music and everything, I've been asking people like, if you had like a walk-up song like in baseball, what would you pick as that song?
Oh man.
Right now, we're not gonna hold you to it or anything.
As of right now, I don't know. It would probably be some '90s hip hop song. Yeah, I take it back to the 90s,
Nice.
but I don't have a
Respect.
specific song.
That's fair. That's fair. You got a lot of good ones to pick from that era.
there's
so.
there's a good list.
Yeah.
So I'm just gonna keep it at that genre.
So we talked about some movies and some music, and it did come up in one of our earlier interviews today, the book club that Mira and Ava have, and how you were very briefly a participant in this book club. It was a Civil War like textbook, or like what was it actually that you?
No, so it's a World War II book,
Okay,
and so that's what I enjoy. Like I enjoy history, and like more specifically like World War II and stuff like that. And so like it was obviously like a book about the Jewish like prisoners and stuff, and how they escaped and the tunnels that they built and stuff. I haven't finished the book either, but that's the book I brought with me. And
they did ask me to ask you if you had made it further, because they were like, we went on some road trip, and it might have been like that West Coast swing or something like that. And like when you left, you were on like page 11. When you got back, you're like still on page 11. Have we made it to 12? Or are we still on 11?
No. No.
Yeah. Well, I appreciate the honesty and owning up to that, because they are intense readers.
Oh yeah,
and
they
everybody does their own thing, moves at their own pace. So
yeah, like there's sometimes like they'll be arguing about it, but it's not even arguing. They'll just be talking very passionately about books in the locker room, and we'll just be sitting there and like they're just back and forth, back and forth, back and forth.
Just kind of in their own little world.
And I'm like, I don't read the books you guys read, but it sounds nice.
Well, they don't even read the same books that they read. They're like, we have two different styles, so I mean, to each their own. I guess just kind of some other rapid fire ones. Like favorite home cooked meal.
Favorite home cooked meal is probably just like classic steak and potatoes, or like my dad's from Trinidad, and so like they do curried stuff, and so like curried potatoes and steak and chicken. And,
that would be a good dinner. I'd be down for that. Have you found any spots in College Park that kind of your favorite to eat at, or?
I mean, I can't drive here yet because I don't have a car, but like if I would, explore a little more. But I mean, can't go wrong with Iron Rooster. I mean, can't go wrong with Board and Brew. Mm-hmm. It's quick, easy. Like, it's right by our apartment.
That's true.
So, but yeah.
Do you cook it all yourself?
Yeah. I've been cooking more. Meal prepping and stuff like that. So.
Well, what have been the kind of the favorites you've been making so far?
I made this just like grilled chicken and like some pasta and like green beans, like broccoli and stuff like that. So I mean, just keep it simple. I'm a very simple person.
So growing up, were there any kind of players that you looked up to or kind of modeled your game after?
Yeah. So my dad he would always send stuff like us clips and stuff on YouTube or whatever, and it was always like Hakeem, he took it back. And so when we were out in the driveway and stuff like that, he would teach me the little dream shake. So that's always a go-to move in my bag, like a little dream shake.
That's awesome.
Never got the sky hook down, but
give it time.
I'm still practicing, but like definitely Hakeem. I definitely like Kobe, Dirk. Just kind of some of those old head, players.
Yeah. If there was a player that you could play one-on-one, and I'm not saying you need to give yourself the best chance, because then you'd pick somebody else, but if you could be like, I played so-and-so one-on-one, it was great. Yeah. Anybody come to mind?
I don't know. For me, like I like to learn and stuff like that too, and I'm very observant. So like I would want to play AT. Like I would want to see where I match up with her. I mean, I wouldn't be opposed to it, but I want to play AT. Just to see where I match up with her.
So I guess you talked about what Khloe said, and kind of like she saw similarities in your game to AT. Mm-hmm. What do you kind of see as like some of those common threads between the two of you?
I definitely would say the strength. Insanely strong. Like when I watch her play and stuff, like on my recruiting visit, they made a like playlist of like AT and I's clips, and they were almost identical. Like looking at it, it was really cool to watch. Like when I got recruited, and so like to see the potential and like what I could develop into and all that stuff. Like it was really cool to see. So I mean, definitely the strength. And I do have some of those moves too. So hopefully,
AT, your challenge is out here. I mean,
sorry.
You can move back in when you're back in the Xfinity Center. Hit Monty up.
Let's play horse.
That I would watch. Maybe we can get the film crew on that too. Monty, thank you for your time. Great talk with you, and best of luck this season.
Yeah, thank you.
Awesome.